Hey Vikings Nation, what's going on? If you're a true Minnesota fan, you're going to want to pay close attention to this because a wild rumor just shook the NFL world. Reports started circulating about a shocking quarterback twist involving Kyler Murray and the Minnesota Vikings, and the possibility has fans everywhere asking the same question. Could this actually happen? Now, before we dive in, there's an important detail we need to clear up. Some reports online claim that Kyler Murray was released by the Arizona Cardinals and immediately signed with the Vikings. As of the most reliable league information available, that situation has not been officially confirmed by the team or the NFL. So what we're looking at right now is a developing story, speculation, and a scenario that has Vikings fans buzzing. But here's the thing, Vikings Nation. Even the possibility of a move like this opens up a huge conversation about the future of the Minnesota Vikings quarterback room. So let's break down the situation, what it could mean, and why the idea of Kyler Murray in purple and gold has suddenly become one of the most talked about stories in Vikings news. The rumor began circulating after discussions around Murray's uncertain future in Arizona. After several injury setbacks and inconsistent seasons, analysts started questioning whether the Cardinals would eventually move on from their former franchise quarterback. That's when speculation about potential landing spots began to explode across NFL circles. And suddenly, the Minnesota Vikings were mentioned as a possible destination. Not necessarily because they're desperate, but because the team has been very clear about one thing. They want competition and options at quarterback heading into the next phase of the franchise. If you've been following Minnesota Vikings news closely, you already know the quarterback situation has been one of the biggest storylines surrounding the team. The Vikings are in a transition period, trying to build stability while also developing young talent. For Vikings fans, the biggest name tied to the future has been McCarthy. The former first-round pick arrived with high expectations and the belief that he could eventually become the long-term face of the franchise. But injuries and inconsistency have made the path a little more complicated than expected. McCarthy showed flashes of talent, especially with his strong arm and aggressive downfield mindset. But accuracy issues and limited experience created some growing pains, and the coaching staff has been cautious about rushing his development. That's why the Vikings have been exploring every possible option to strengthen the quarterback room. Not necessarily to replace McCarthy, but to push him, challenge him, and create real competition inside the locker room. And that's exactly where the Kyler Murray rumors start to make things interesting. Let's remember who Kyler Murray is when he's at his best. The former #1 overall draft pick entered the league with explosive athleticism, elite mobility, and the ability to turn broken plays into highlight reel moments. During his early seasons in the NFL, Murray produced impressive numbers both through the air and on the ground. He threw for thousands of yards, added dangerous rushing ability, and even earned multiple Pro Bowl selections while becoming the face of the Cardinals franchise. But the story changed after injuries began piling up. A torn ACL in 2022 and other setbacks limited his availability. And when Murray did return, many analysts felt he didn't quite look like the same dynamic playmaker. Injuries can completely change the trajectory of a quarterback's career, especially one whose game relies heavily on mobility. And that's exactly what Murray has been trying to recover from over the past few seasons. Despite that, the talent has never been questioned. When healthy, Murray still possesses one of the most unique skill sets in the entire league. Now imagine that type of quarterback entering a system designed by Kevin O'Connell. O'Connell has quietly built a reputation as one of the better quarterback developers in the NFL. During his time in Minnesota, he's helped maximize the production of multiple passers and built an offense that emphasizes smart reads, play action, and creative spacing. Quarterbacks under O'Connell often benefit from a system that simplifies decisions while still creating explosive opportunities downfield. That's why some analysts believe a player like Murray could actually thrive in this environment. Instead of being asked to carry an entire offense, Murray could focus on playing fast, using his athleticism, and letting the Vikings' offensive weapons do the rest. And speaking of weapons, the Minnesota Vikings offense has some serious firepower. Between elite receiving talent, a strong offensive scheme, and a coaching staff that knows how to create mismatches, Minnesota has built an environment that many quarterbacks would love to step into. That's another reason these rumors gained so much traction so quickly among Vikings fans and NFL insiders. But here's where things get really interesting. If Kyler Murray ever did arrive in Minnesota, it wouldn't necessarily mean he walks in as the automatic starter. Instead, it would likely create one of the most fascinating quarterback competitions in the NFL. J.J. McCarthy would still have the opportunity to prove he's the future. Murray would have the opportunity to revive his career. And the Vikings coaching staff would have two completely different styles of quarterback to work with. Competition like that can sometimes bring out the best in players. For McCarthy, it would push him to develop faster and eliminate mistakes. For Murray, it would give him a chance to remind the entire league why he was once considered one of the most exciting young quarterbacks in football. And for the Minnesota Vikings, it would create depth and flexibility at the most important position on the field. Because let's be honest, Vikings Nation, the NFL is unpredictable. Injuries happen. Momentum changes. Seasons can shift in a single moment. Teams that have multiple capable quarterbacks are often better prepared to survive those storms. That's why even the idea of Murray joining Minnesota sparks such a fascinating debate. Would he become the comeback story of the year? Could he rediscover the explosive playmaking ability that made him a star earlier in his career? Or would the Vikings ultimately stay committed to building around their young quarterback? Right now, many of these questions remain unanswered. But one thing is certain. The Minnesota Vikings quarterback situation will continue to be one of the most closely watched stories in the NFL. And Vikings fans everywhere are going to be paying attention to every update, every rumor, and every move the team makes moving forward. So now I want to hear from you, Vikings Nation. If the opportunity ever came up, would you want the Minnesota Vikings to take a chance on Kyler Murray? Do you believe J.J. McCarthy is still the long-term answer? Or do you think the Vikings should bring in as much competition as possible? Drop your opinion in the comments because this is a debate that could divide the entire fan base. And if you love staying updated with the latest Minnesota Vikings news, rumors, and analysis, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with other Vikings fans. Because here we talk Vikings football every single day. Skol. Purple circle, yellow circle.